Hiya. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about letting go. So, how we let go of somebody that we loved and how we really let go of somebody after a breakup so that we can move on with our lives. This is something that I see a lot with my clients, people holding on to someone that is no longer in their present, but just that not letting go of the past and not being able to fully move on and take back your power. So I think that there are some real, I really see some very particular elements that if we focus on these areas, I really believe that we can let go of that which is not aligned for us. Because I guess the first part is, if we're in a relationship and it breaks down, if that person leaves us, then they didn't choose us. And that can be really hard to accept. Our ego doesn't like that. We feel rejected, we feel abandoned. A lot of wounds come up in that space. And I think it takes us truly believing that if we aren't chosen and we aren't wanted by somebody, then we don't want that either. We don't want to be with somebody that doesn't ultimately want us. And I think really underpinning that belief is a good foundation to start letting go of someone. Because when we're holding on to, but if only I could make them want me, then I'd have this perfect relationship. We're creating something that isn't real because they don't. They've left for whatever reason. And because of that, that is a clear sign that this is not aligned to me. This is not right. If this was right, we would be together, and we're not. So now I need to let go of this person, because if I can let go of them, I can clear my energy up and I can be free to find something that is more aligned to me and that's going to make me happier than that did. Because I think whatever we tell ourselves, if we're in a relationship with somebody who's not choosing us, that is not going to be making us feel safe and loved and content in the relationship. We're always going to feel not quite good enough. So I think the first step is to start working on the belief that, of course, we deserve to be chosen fully. Of course, we're worth that. All of us are worth being with somebody who wants to be with us just as much as we want to be with them. If we're making all the effort in a relationship, and deep down we kind of know that, deep down we know we're probably putting in more than they are, maybe we love them a little bit more than they love us, then something isn't right. And it's not about us. It's so hard to disconnect and separate our own value from that feeling of, clearly I'm not good enough because they didn't choose me, and that means there's something wrong with me. And instead recognizing there's just something here that isn't right. Maybe it's that, maybe there's a lack of compatibility. Maybe it's based on their trauma. Maybe they don't want to face themselves and I do. Maybe something about me is really triggering to them. So their relationship with me is too hard and they don't want to choose that. But once we can let go of the control, so I think a lot of us relentlessly are trying to control that. And if only I changed a bit, if only I played this mind game, manipulated this thing, I can make them want me. We need to surrender and allow what is meant to be to play out. And often that involves losing people, which is hard. And I think there will always be a space where we have to feel the grief of that, and it's painful, and we don't want to go there. Nobody does. It's hard. But I think what a lot of people do when relationship ends is one of two things. We either completely avoid the feelings, we don't look, and we distract ourselves. So we rebound or we move straight onto another relationship. We can put all our energy into that, and then we don't have to feel the pain. We don't have to grieve. But when we do that, usually what happens is whatever was going on in the first relationship is just transferred across. It's projected over, and likelihood is the same cycles are just going to repeat over and over again, because we're never healing, we're not growing, we're just moving one problem into a new vessel, which is probably going to show us the same problem. Or what we might do is we might stay very much stuck in the past, and we might be feeling the feelings, but maybe not the ones that are helping us to let go. I work with a lot of people who, after a breakup, struggle to remember the bad bits and stay very focused on almost a fantasy of what the relationship actually was. So they hold on to all the best moments, maybe how it was right at the start when everything was perfect. And that picture that they'd created at the beginning of what they believed the relationship was is what they can't let go of. And people can spend a lot of time in their heads fantasizing about recreating that, because we believe that our love is something separate from ourselves. When in reality, when we're with someone, all we're actually seeing when we love them is a reflection of our own love. Like, love is inside of us. And when we love another person, we see that love, but it isn't necessarily them. Like, I know maybe that's upsetting to believe that there isn't this one person who's going to fulfill all of our needs and be the love of our life. But personally, I think love is like cultivated. I don't think that we meet someone and love just bang, it happens. Like, I think attachment happens. I think attachment can happen overnight. I think you can go from non-attached to attached to someone and feel like, oh my God, I can't live without this person because they're meeting all my needs. But I think love is something different. I guess how I separate the two is attachment can feel bad. Attachment can make us feel hurt. A lot of pain is in attachment, whereas love never hurts. Like, if you think of the frequency of love, when you're just loving something, when you're in like a loving moment towards yourself, when you're feeling love towards your child, like, love isn't painful. Attachment and separation from attachment is very painful sometimes. So I think trying to separate the two is powerful. And I'm going to do a whole video talking about like the differences between love and attachment. But that's, I guess, the basics of what I think is the differences. And I think when we don't let go of somebody after a breakup, quite often it's the attachment that we don't want to let go of rather than the love, because we can continue loving people that we're not with. It feels nice to love. Losing an attachment doesn't feel so nice. So I think the first thing, like I was talking about, is finding that belief that I deserve better. Like, I absolutely deserve someone who's going to choose me completely. I deserve to feel like they want me in their life, and they're not afraid of that, and they're willing to show me that. And if that isn't there, I deserve better than that anyway. And not just saying it. Like, you can say those words to yourself, but you have to find some level of self-esteem and self-worth that actually makes that quite easy for you. And that takes work. But I think getting to a space that even if this person did want me back, like, I now know that my worth is worth more than someone that isn't sure about me. And therefore, I wouldn't choose this again. And I think once that's quite clear in our mind that I'm no longer longing for it, I've accepted. Acceptance is really powerful. Like, I've accepted that this person isn't choosing me. I've dealt with the painful feelings that brings up and how my ego doesn't like that very much. And I've grieved that. I've grieved that loss of what I might have believed this was going to be. But I trust in the process. Like, I trust that this is what should be happening. Because generally what's meant for us comes. Like if this has gone wrong, there's probably a reason for it. Having some faith in that can be really powerful when it comes to letting go of somebody and moving on with our lives. I also think what happens so commonly in breakups is because love hurts in the state of attachment hurts, and we don't want to feel that. We don't want to just grieve the loss of the person. We often turn to hate, and hate in a breakup can be very attractive because it can often feel easier to say, I blame you. You created this. You hurt me. I'm angry at you, and hold on to all these feelings of anger, because feeling anger can often feel a lot easier than feeling sad. And often we go to that space. So we try to demonize this other person in our life in the hope that if I hate them, I'm going to move on. But it doesn't really work like that, because you have to look at it in terms of energy. So when I'm really centered in myself, all my energy is within me. And if I've left somebody or somebody's left me and I've not let go of that relationship, chances are I'm giving them loads of my energy still. I'm thinking about them all the time. Like they're in my head and I'm not letting go of them. Energetically, I still feel tied to them. And whether that tie is through love or hate, regardlessly, you're still giving them all your energy. So hate is not the way. Like if we choose to hate someone through a breakup, all we're doing is we're filling our heart with all this hate, and hate and love don't coexist. If your heart is full of hate, you're unlikely going to be able to fully love another person or love yourself. And letting go of the hate is really powerful, and that takes forgiveness. And an acceptance that this was co-created. We can't blame one person for the breakdown of a relationship. Like we co-created this together, and this went wrong probably based on both of us equally and our own stuff, our own traumas. And we both did the best with the tools that we had at the time. And maybe that doesn't look so great. Maybe we're two very hurt people and we hurt each other. But blaming the other person is only going to hurt me more. And it's not about forgiving another person is not about saying what you did to me is okay. It's not about acceptance on the level of I want you back. But forgiveness is saying I'm choosing myself. I'm choosing to let go of you. I'm choosing to forgive you because I want to clear my energy up. I want to bring back my power, and I don't want to be thinking about you all day. Whether that's negatively or positively, it doesn't really matter. We're still not letting go of somebody. So doing things like forgiveness meditations, and really believing that me choosing not to forgive you and punishing you is only punishing myself. I'm the only one actually getting hurt now. So I'm choosing to hurt myself here. This is not about you anymore. My forgiveness towards you is not about you. It's about me. And finding that empowering space where we can get to a place that we let go. We let go of, the punishing. We let go of the parts of us that want to, hurt someone else because they hurt us. And we can rise above that. And then we can really take back our energy to a space that we are now, I've grown from this relationship. And I don't think we can actually grow from a relationship until we actually let go of it. And once we've started to be right, I accept what happened. I'm no longer in this place of blame and anger. I felt the sadness and the feelings, and I recognize my worth is higher than this. I want something different myself here. Then we can start to really energetically start to let go of that person. And it's only really once we fully let go of someone that we can start to create the space to welcome something new and more aligned into our lives. I think moving on into a new relationship when we're still clinging on to something from the past is only going to bring us hurt. So I think this work is so powerful, and I think a lot of people don't let go. I think a lot of people find the process too uncomfortable, so they just jump from one thing to another, never growing. And that's why a lot of people say, I'm always attracting the same people. Like, the same things keep happening. I keep attracting men who cheat on me, or I keep attracting women who betray me. There will be consistent patterns until we face ourselves. And that's why doing the self work and looking inwards in terms of what have I learned from this relationship. If we're ending a relationship, or a relationship has broken down, that is one of the most powerful spaces for self growth. That is where we can ask ourselves, what did I do? Like, how did I show up in that relationship? Was I myself completely? Did I hide bits of myself? Did I guard? Did I get vulnerable, or was I too afraid to? Like, what can I do differently? What parts of me weren't so great there? Was I struggling with accepting the other person? Did I try to control them? What are the behaviors that came out in me in that relationship as a mirror to myself that I'm going to go away and work on now? Like, so that when I come back ready to date again, I'm going to be a better version of me. Therefore, I will attract something better into my life. So asking yourself those questions is really powerful. And forgiveness meditation is a very powerful tool when it comes to letting go and accepting that something has ended, and creating that space to actually heal through it rather than just avoid it or run away from it.